Atheists, you believe an organism only capable of identical self-replication change. Atheists, it does not possess the genes for changing. Like in sexual reproductions, you have two organisms having sex, and it's possible for a mutation to occur. When's the last time you've ever named one documented case of a mutation ever doing anything but making that animal retarded? Don't worry, I'll wait. Down syndrome is an example of it losing, but it just made it retarded. Alright? How was this organism developed with the ability to eat? How did it know to eat? How did it know what to eat? How did it know things by instinct? Because it had to have instincts, because it had to have a will to survive. How do you know? Because it survived. Atheists, how did it reproduce? Or how would it have known to reproduce? Atheists, do you know how delicate and intricate DNA is? Hold on. I want to answer every question. Do you know how intricate DNA is? You know it has to be programmed. That's what DNA is. It's like a program. It's like down in computer software program. And it's your instincts. Atheists, what are instincts? How would something have been spontaneously created with instincts? How would it have spontaneously came into existence with principles? Like reproducing and having to eat. And that's an intelligent design. Because it had to have organisms to match. Or no, mechanisms. It had to have mechanisms to match. What I'm saying is, it had to have a mechanism to eat food. It had to have the instinct to know to eat food, and then to know how to eat food. And then it had to have the mechanism to shit food. And then it had to have the mechanism to digest food. It had to have, you're picking up what I'm laying down. And then to reproduce. It would have had to have a way to go about reproducing. It would have had to have known how to reproduce. And this fucking thing that was supposedly created spontaneously by rock soup in lava, which is rock soup. Rock soup means lava. In rock soup at the bottom of the ocean when it was terrorized by a thunderstorm. Atheists, are you sure about this, bud? Because it's bad. We're going to run the store up on y'all, atheists, and we're not going to do it to save you. We're going to do it to make fun of you. You better beg Jesus for forgiveness. Rock soup at the bottom of the ocean created DNA with mechanisms. And I'm not re-explaining them. I'm on heroin right now. I'm just, the Holy Spirit's speaking through me. Atheists. If you don't get to apologize and fast, Jesus is going to throw you off the face of this earth. And atheists, y'all, the only video that's gotten any attention so far is one I recorded with atheists in the title. And I got 16 views and 5 dislikes. Atheists, good. Don't dislike my shit because good. I'm trying to fuck y'all over. Y'all make fun of Jesus, but you don't know what the fuck you believe. You don't know what the fuck you believe. Atheists, you believe that a chemical reaction ignited, or a chemical reaction, chemicals had a chemical reaction creating the first chemicals to exist. NASA claims that a chemical reaction occurred and sparked the Big Bang. Atheists, matter, chemicals are matter. Chemicals are matter. Atheists, you believe that chemicals, which did not yet exist, reacted with other chemicals. These chemicals created the first chemicals to exist. Atheists, God can possess demons. How demons possess people. Atheists, you believe that chemicals had a chemical reaction before chemicals existed, which created the first chemicals. This is what you believe. Atheists, you believe that the first planets came to be condensed. Or Neil deGrasse Tyson said gravity took a foothold once alright, so let me backtrack. When the bang happened, gas was created. When these chemicals created gas, and they started expanding in all directions. If you know anything about explosives, when something explodes, it expands. It takes the path of least resistance and expands 360 in all directions rapidly. And if it's an explosion big enough to make something like that, rapidly in all directions. Gas, atheists, gas. It was gas. And Neil deGrasse Tyson says that these gases, whilst expanding 360 in all directions rapidly, gravity took a foothold and started creating the first superstars. Well, gravity is when a large body of mass, supposedly, gravity is a large body of mass, the attractive force created by a large body of mass. Atheists. It is impossible for gravity to have taken place to create a large body of mass due to the fact that large bodies of mass create. It is impossible for gravity to have created large bodies of mass prior to the existence of large bodies of mass. Are you noticing a trend here? Christians, look at any part. Christians, look at any part of what atheists believe and search for contradictions. Atheists, there are contradictions everywhere because God is sovereign. And because you talk about the Bible's contradictions, God sarcastically littered atheist or science with contradictions. Littered it with it. Littered it. Littered it. Atheists. Did you know that gravity only accounts for an attractive force? Atheists, how would an object have an attractive and an opposing force? For gravity to work the way that it's defined, it would have to have an attractive and opposing force. Because if two objects just had an attractive force, they would collide. If two objects are attracting to each other, they would collide. Point blank period. They would have no other choice. They would, and before you call me stupid, because y'all atheists like to thought that's stupid, that was Albert Einstein's logic behind thinking the universe would ultimately have to collapse. So I'm on the same page as Albert Einstein right now, saying what Albert Einstein said. Alright? All I'm saying is something Albert Einstein said. So if you call me stupid, you're stupid because I'm on the same thinking level as Albert Einstein right now. I'm on the same line of reasoning as Albert Einstein right now. Alright? If two objects are attracted to each other, they are going to collide. Well, so the solution is they have to have an opposing force and an attractive force. Well, how is an object going to have an opposing and an attractive force simultaneously? You can't have both. You can't have both. Like a magnet, one side is like north, one side is south. But both sides can't be north and south at the same time simultaneously. You see what I'm saying, atheists? They both can't be the same simultaneously. Let's see what else I can do. Well, I like to go back to the Big Bang Theory. What about a spatial dimension? The Big Bang Theory only accounts for the creation of matter. Alright, well you got space and time to account for too. Alright, so the Big Bang Theory, and space doesn't interact with matter. Space has to be created. Space is a spatial dimension. It's a spatial dimension. It is a dimension. It did not exist prior to the Big Bang, even by your theory. I'm using your theory right now. By your own theory, space did not exist prior to the Big Bang. So you believe that nothing exploded with nothing, nowhere, and created something. And by the way, you also believe that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So you believe that nothing had a chemical reaction with nothing before chemicals existed, nowhere, and did something physically impossible. That's what you believe, atheists. Atheists, do you know what a spatial dimension is? Did you know that space exists due to the fact that it doesn't exist? Space does not interact with matter, so therefore an explosion cannot possibly even begin to provide an explanation because space doesn't interact with matter. That's the whole point. Space exists due to its non-existence. Space doesn't exist, and due to the fact that it doesn't exist is why it exists. What I mean by that? It's just open space. That's what a spatial dimension is. It's 0D. 1D is a point, 2D is a line, 3D is three-dimensional, linked with depth. Right? 0D is space. It exists because it doesn't exist. Alright? And it has to be created. And by the way, the Trinity is not physically possible. It would have to have been in this order. Space would have to have been created. You couldn't create matter before space. Because if space didn't exist, how would matter exist? You would have nowhere to put it. So I had to go space. Didn't matter. And time didn't have to be created because all time does is measure the existence of something. Time just measures the existence of something. You see what I'm saying? So time wouldn't have had to have even been created by the Big Bang because it's just measuring the existence of space and matter. But matter could not have been created first. And NASA's wrong again about that. It would have to have been space. Didn't matter.